Now, please welcome to the stage Mark Pascal and Francis Schott, the Restaurant Guys.
So I'm with Francis, one of the Restaurant Guys. So Francis, how did the Restaurant Guys start?
The Restaurant Guys started in 2005 when we were building Catherine Lombardi and we had some excess staff, and we decided to start a radio show on WCTC AM. Conversations that it's great chefs and bartenders and farmers and food people, and it's a conversation we would have at the bar after work with our shift drink, and we just turn the microphones on so everybody can listen. And then today was our first live audience, and it was spectacular. Everybody had a great time.
2005, we're celebrating our 20th anniversary right now with you.
Well, I have to say, this is the best first paragraph of a cookbook I have ever read.
This is pre-AI, by the way. Yeah.
I didn't sound like
Pre-ChatGPT. I wrote that 4 years ago. It's just,
So-
when you hear it, you'll understand why it made sense 4 years ago.
I'm with Chef Rocco DiSpirito. He is the guest of our first live Restaurant Guys podcast. So was there anything different about this podcast versus other podcasts you've done?
Well, this one was really fun, so there's a big difference. We're in a great eating and drinking establishment with a lot of lively guests, people who are obviously fans of the restaurant, which is nice to see. They supported the podcast in the theater. Today's also the launch of the Restaurant Guys live podcast, which is very cool. And I'm thrilled to be the first person on their live restaurant podcast, Restaurant Guys podcast.
You know that look, right?
I do
you
know the look.
Yeah.
It means I'm not going to talk for about 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Actually, Mark, do you have something that you want to...
I
He's
actually
got
do.
plenty. What are you doing? He's simmering over there. Give him a moment. Come on.
But it's my experience to get there before he boils over, or you're in a lot of trouble. Yeah.
So, but one of the things that I really want to just talk about, you guys see Rocco on TV and you see the food he makes and you see him, making these things that you're never going to taste. Francis and I had the experience of he spoke about it earlier, the 21-course tasting menu. So it was 3 of us, okay, so we each got a dish, 3 of us, 7 courses. Fred provided 21 wines to go with the 7 courses, and each thing that we put in our mouth was a revelation. And I whatever it was, 1999, I'm like, I was going to use an expletive, I'll be nicer. Who the heck is this guy?
Yeah.
Okay, this is incredible. This is one of the great meals in my life. And so you need to know that you walked into the room here today and you already had reverence from Francis and me because of that ridiculous meal that we experienced from your hands.
And several meals thereafter.
But that just emblazoned you in the pantheon of great chefs.
What was the difference between having a live show versus a show that you typically record?
Well, feeding off the energy of the crowd it was absolutely amazing. They were fun, they were engaged, they were enjoying themselves, and of course you enjoy that even more. I'm a restaurant person, right? So I enjoy interacting with people. So having the podcast be interactive was a lot of fun.
I think that a lot of restaurant people realized in COVID was...
We miss our family.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that they're actually nice, and you can have dinner with them. You don't have to, and
What's amazing is all of us, every one of us, got either fatter or skinnier during COVID, right? You have a guess, right? Which one?
So what did you think of their show tonight?
It was a lot of fun. I think they all did a great job. It was very enjoyable. I learned things. I laughed. It was amazing.
By the way, notice Francis not married. Okay.
but food
Still hasn't found his temperature kindred spirit.
I have actually. We're just not married.
Some gossip.
Oh my God, it was amazing. So good. And so this is my first experience with the Restaurant Guys, and I had an absolute blast.
Here is I hate it when people read off their phone because I think they're just watching a video. I think they're not really.
They probably are. Yeah.
All right, so this is from the New York Times review that really launched you into the stratosphere. Ruth Reichel, 1998. Here's how the review starts. The woman at the next table is moaning. That's a good way to start, everybody. That's strong. It's a strong start. I try to discover what has caused this reaction. But she has just finished the final forkful, and all I can see is her eyes, wide with the wonder of whatever is in her mouth.
This is not real.
That's no, that's it. That's the review, Rocco.
Real review.
The best goddamn review I have
like
ever seen of a restaurant anywhere.
Fred, do you remember it like that?
Oh my
I don't
God!
remember it like that.
I got the words, word for word.
That's crazy.
Hey, what?
Boy, there used to be some really good, she was probably like a softcore porn writer.
Yeah. Maybe.
Oh, we talked about Gail Green, who really was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing about the Restaurant Guys?
The knowledge that they impart and the fun they have during their banter.
Honestly, I just love the stories. Like today, they were talking about the meatballs, and all I wanted to do was try the meatballs tonight. I've known them for years. They're always funny and entertaining, but it was just, I just love to see their energy and their passion, and I love to see that. It was very cool.
You were sharing a stage with the Meatball King of New Jersey.
Please know that the very first thing I did when I got to work today is I began talking about and sampling meatballs. Okay, because this is my life. Every day starts with a good meatball if it's a good day. Anyway, so in my family, if you got to Grandma's house early enough on Sunday afternoon, or Sunday, after church, she would still be frying the meatballs, and you could steal one of those black meatballs out of the pan. Are you a black meatball guy, or are you a red meatball guy?
That's interesting. I think any meatball out of the pan that your grandmother is still holding is a great meatball, right? That's a great moment in life. I think that's the golden hour. That's, probably a peak life moment. Any of us would kill for one of those moments tonight, right? Especially those who don't have our grandmas anymore.
For sure.
They're at their most tender when they're just sautéed, so you want to eat them then. After that, it's all downhill, because you can overcook them, undercook them. But I'm an everyday, all kind of meatball guy. I've never met a meatball I don't like.
I loved hearing about Rocco's life and really getting to see kind of an in-person view on Mark and Francis, and being able to see more than just the recorded podcast episodes.
He was a great negotiator. He's one of those guys that would negotiate at King Cullen. He would negotiate at the end of any restaurant experience. There'd be a graduation, and he would have planned this for 6 months, and they negotiated the bill, and there's a deposit paid in a contract. And at the end, he would just say, "No, I'm not going to pay that. I'm going to pay half of what." And he'd get away with it most of the time. So try it. Not at their restaurants. But,
I was going to say, Rocco,
don't do it there.
You're not going to be invited back.
They are too nice. They're too nice.
Exactly.
You can't take advantage of them like that.
So I really liked his anecdotes. I love Mark. He's like a comedian. So that was great. I just, the whole experience was wonderful. The questions, the answers. I learned a lot, and it was just great hearing Rocco.
I started cooking in restaurants at 11. I made 50 cents an hour. It was the greatest thing ever, 50 cents an hour. But they let me work 60 hours a week. So if you can do that math, that's a lot of money for 1979.
And
anyway.
The statute of limitations has expired.
I know,
on
yeah.
that
So
restaurant.
Sal, the guy who hired me, he's off the hook, thank God.
Usually it's just me and Mark in a room and maybe one other person, and it was lovely being with everybody. And then what was even more lovely was coming across the street and having drinks with everybody. So it was super fun.
Mark is
Thank
in
you,
it.
Mark.
I just want you to notice that Mark is in his natural habitat right now, pouring wine for people. Thank you, Mark.
Let me make some room for you.
Thank you.
Favorite part of the show this evening?
Again, my favorite part is Rocco coming out and everybody clapping for him and getting excited, and you can see that emotion and that feeling just growing in everybody as the show went on.
What was your favorite part of the show?
I loved how much Mark got to talk. That was really fun. And it was just interesting watching Francis be so quiet. It's unusual for him, right? Yeah.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
Yeah.
Because, we need to be entertained 24/7 now, as you guys know. How many people here, be honest for one moment in your life, okay? How many people here are dying to get on Twitter and scroll for a few seconds right now? Or TikTok. Anybody? Nobody? Just you. Okay, got it. One honest person in this whole group. Yeah. That's what, we live in that 24/7 entertainment world now. So all of these shows, there's a lot of pressure to keep every moment riveting. There can be no pauses, no breaks. Everything has to be nonstop. Go, go, go.
Much like the last hour here on this stage.
Exactly. Notice even she hasn't picked up her phone. Yeah.
Thank you. That
Well,
was
we
great.
talk about that all the time, right? There's no interstitial time, right? You're never alone. You're never alone with your thoughts. You're never alone with by yourself. You go, and if you're waiting for a train, you're not sitting there waiting for a train anymore. You're on your phone.
Sure.
Okay, you're
Listening
you're never,
to the Restaurant Guys podcast. And I think I want to close by just saying thank you to Rocco, and you are now an honorary New Brunswick son, and you are welcome back anytime. Rocco DiSpirito. Thanks, buddy.
Great job.
Thank you, sir. Hey, thanks to all of you guys.
Thank you.
You were awesome. We love you.
Come
Most
next
of
time.
you. Thanks so much,
everybody.
guys.
What are we doing now?